Hi guys, it's Chris, not in my shed, still in my kitchen, still got my shoulder, my arm in a sling because of my shoulder operation, so I won't be out in the shed for a little bit. Tend to shout a bit less in the kitchen, A, because it's echoey, and B, because my kids are upstairs in bed, and my wife's next door watching the telly, and I don't want to disturb them. So that's why. So, we have another cider from Newton Court. And after this one, I've still got a bottled dry cider from them, like a 750ml corked bottle, which is quite exciting. I think I said in the last one that I'd done the last of my Tor cider company cider as well, but I was lying. I haven't, because I've got a champagne method one they did with dessert apples. I think Braeburn actually specifically to do. So yeah, scrub that. I've still got one to do. I might do that one next, in fact. Then we've done them all then, basically, I think. Well, except for the other one. 2 more to go after this, basically. How's that? So, one from Newton Court, one from Tor Cider Company. So anyway, this one's called Little Owl. And it's a bit different because it's inspired by ciders made in the USA. This cider uses old-fashioned eating apple varieties such as Cox and Russet to create a lighter, fruitier style of cider. So basically same US style, but also you could say East Coast style, so Suffolk, Kent, etc., because that's what they're using that on the eastern coast of England. This fruity, sparkling, 100% fresh pressed cider is a lesson in balance, lip-smacking freshness and yet utterly unctuous at the same time. So again, it's got this little index on the back which shows you the, it's got sharp tannin and sweet, and as you can see, pretty sharp, not very tannic, and pretty sweet, which would follow because dessert apples, culinary apples, low in tannin, but they have got good sugar, a good acidity. What's the ABV on this actually? So 5.8, so it's got some sweetness. So I don't know if they have back sweetened it, so they ferment to dry, and 5.8%, yeah, they could have let it ferment it dry, but they could have kept a bit of sugar in it, because sometimes it can go a bit higher than that. But dessert apples have less sugar than cider apples, usually, so you tend to get slightly less alcohol from them, I believe. But yeah, let's see. So I expect this to be lighter in colour, because less tannin, therefore less colour, because less oxidisation of tannins, which is what gives the colour, which we've been talking about quite a lot lately. Let's get this thing on. So yeah, I expect it to be lighter in colour. And I tend to prefer ciders made with cider apples. You know, I'm making no bones about it. I'm always open to ciders that aren't, you know. But generally speaking, I tend to prefer the ciders that are made with cider apples, which have a bit more tannin and so forth, a bit more structure, and they tend to be less malic. I don't know why, because if you age culinary apples slowly through the winter, one would expect it to go through malolactic fermentation, the same as cider apples do. So you get lactic acid rather than malic acid at the end. But it feels to me like they tend to have like more of an appley malic acid character, and I prefer the lactic acid softer character personally. So let's see, it says sharp, so let's see what's bringing the sharpness. Is it malic? Is it lactic? Yeah, and so there you go, much lighter in colour, less tannin, so less browning, less reaction with the oxygen with polyphenols to give you the colour, so much lighter cider. So yeah, they say American, but you could just as easily say Kent or Suffolk, because that's basically what they do in that coast. They make this sort of style. I found these to be a tad fizzy as well, just a tad. That didn't seem that fizzy when I opened it. So maybe this one's a little less carbonated, which would be good if it was. But let's give it a smell. So yeah, it smells more like a dessert apple. A bit more perfumey. It does smell of malic. Yeah, it's got less of that deep sort of baked apple autumnal character. Orchard, like my mum's shed where she keeps apples that come off the tree through the winter because you can't eat them all at once. That kind of smell you get in there, apple skins and stuff. This has not got that. This is more like a white wine like on the nose, if you like. Whereas the tannic sort of cider apples, I think, closer to sort of like a red wine character. I mean, they're not, but you kind of know what I mean. I hope. So lighter, fruitier. It smells like dessert apples is what it smells like, culinary apples. Let's give it a try. Okay. So it is quite sweet. Not super sweet, but it's not as, it says sharp. I don't think this is that sharp. I think it could be sharper to balance the sweetness that's in it. Now I'm not sure if they somehow stopped the fermentation, racked off, I mean they won't have keeved it, I'm pretty sure of that. Could have racked off, could have done something else, pasteurised it to stop it from fermenting, or some such thing, I'm not sure. So I don't know if the sugar in it's actual a residual sugar from the apple, or it's been back sweetened to taste. It's not cloyingly sweet, like some of the industrial ciders can be, the concentrates they use and stuff. And they're using 100% juice. One assumes, I can't see it on the bottle, but one assumes it's 100% juice. Yeah, much lighter. It's just not, it's not floating my boat. It's not floating my boat. You know, every time I open a cider made with dessert apples, I'm thinking, gosh, I hope I really like this. I hope I really like this. But every time I'm like, nah, it's just a bit, nah. It's just a bit, nah. I mean, they're doing all these great things, but it doesn't taste that different from, you know, something by, say, I don't know, Aspels or something like that, you know, we actually do some decent stuff, actually. I don't mind them. But yeah, it just tastes kind of very much like a standard cider, the sort of cider that I used to drink when I was young, and I found it dull. I stopped drinking cider. You know, it wasn't until I discovered cider made from real, proper, true cider apples, fermented with wild yeast, you know, 100% juice, all those sorts of things. That's when my brain went up, my synapses started firing. I went, hang on, this is really interesting stuff. This kind of blends in with so many other ciders on the market. It's hard for me to go out and get this. It doesn't really interest me. If it's a really hot day and you want something really easy to drink and you've got a little bit of the sweet tooth, go for it. Go for it. But it ain't sharp enough for my palate, especially with that sweetness. I have a sweet tooth, but I think it needs sharpness to balance the sweetness. The sharpness in there feels like it is malic. I mean, yeah, possibly lactic. It's actually so low in the mix, I can't determine what sort of acidity it is. It needs more acidity to balance the sweetness, would be a better cider for it. Zero tannin as well. There's a very little structure in the palate. Sorry, Newton Court, this one is not for me. I apologise, but there it is. It will be for some people though. So if you like kind of like East Coast ciders, get it, you like it. Fact. So that was Little Al from Newton Court. I'm looking forward to try the dry bottle fermented cider, which is the 750ml. Really looking forward to that. It's proper old school looking. Really, if I saw it on the shelf, I go, I'm buying that, taking it home and trying it. So yeah, so let's hope I'm not disappointed. Let's hope I'm not. Let's hope I'm not. Alright guys, there you go. One more cider ticked off. Yeah, let's keep going. Alright, thank you for joining me as always. I hope you come back and join me again. But until then, cheers.